Hello, and welcome to Post-Apoc Horse Talk. I'm your host, Ganontagious. This is my co-host, BG, and also say hello to our new extra co-host on this, at least for now, Armex.
Well, I'm a co-host now. Oh
For now.
dear. Oh dear.
The co-hosts have been doubled.
The co-hosts have been doubled, indeed. So, obviously, everyone here may have a various idea of what's going on. We'll be playing some Fallout 4. Let's move over to that now.
I'm
So,
gonna set up the stream.
can everyone see?
I can see. Oh, that is not the usual menu music.
No, it is not.
He's modded.
He's modded, boys.
He's fucking modded it. Fucking
So-
Jesus Christ, up the rat.
To give everyone a short recap of what happened in the last time, we left the vault, we shot some raiders, we got shot by some other raiders, we got a blackjack gun, and we doubled the pip.
Another day in paradise.
Yes, let's delve right into this blasted wasteland.
Fucking Jesus. That guy's a happy bugger, isn't he?
He's a very happy bugger.
Oh boy, he coming.
He
On
comes
his
with
way
that
to
booty.
clap some thick Deathclaw cheeks.
Oh yeah, and with a smile like that, you know he's gonna do it.
Well, he's sure got the moxie to it.
I don't think his model's actually attached to the base.
Nah, Bethesda. It just works, okay?
Oh, that's a cute pony
Oh my
animation.
God, you've got fucking horse stuff.
I don't think a music mod that I added has been added on or is in yet. Maybe
Thank God we don't have to listen to Skybolt.
But this is quite
Jesus
pleasant to listen to.
Christ. What is that abomination? What have you done? It's like the
me.
aliens from fucking Mothership Zeta. Look how skinny it is. Jesus Christ.
Lanky boy.
Fucking anorexia.
So
I
yeah,
mean, I
for
thought
these
Volkswagens were
fuckers.
supposed to be fat.
All right.
At least we've got some nice tunes to groove off to while we're shooting raiders.
Yee. So let's head up on outside and go shoot some raiders, as is our desire.
Just the usual post-national pastime. Till the NCR comes rolling round.
Fuck those fucking LARPers.
The
What is
chat
it with
seems to
Fallout and
agree.
factions LARPing? They're all like trying to copy. They're all trying to be, oh, we're the Romans. Oh, we're Americans, we is. It's like,
The 1950s Americans, the true boomer faction they were in Vegas.
Extra boomer. For your boomer
Nah,
needs.
boomer, haha, hee-hoo. She needs to be thicker, apparently, according to this Nexus blokey.
Yes,
Indeed.
Nexus of course is going to imagine that they'd be thick because Nexus is a thick zeeb.
Bruh.
But this is Little Pip, and Little Pip isn't all that thick.
Until Coty
Well,
gets the hang
except in
of
the
her,
brain.
hold of her.
So where are we heading?
I don't bloody know. I know this game.
Well, we could either go traipsing around the waste to the south or to the east.
Did I
If we want
did
if
I
you
not
want to
talk
avoid
to the Enclave? I don't think I did.
Enclave.
Enclave? Oh no.
Let's go back to the save, as I seem to have forgotten to talk to the people.
How very rude of you. Gotta talk to the old landlord of that vault, eh?
Yeah, that's my bad, chat.
Who are you even talking? Is this the vault you came from, or is this like?
This is a different vault.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
It's the
Tony, what is
Deus
fucking
Vault.
Weird. What is this? What have we done? What have people done?
They have done a lot.
The Enclave deserves no better. Hey, oi! The cutie Pegapet waifus do deserve better.
I really am like disgusted with Bethesda's crapness though, because I saw the advert for this newest whatever DLC thing they're doing, and they did it all like using like the technology that they had available like in game, like cutscene stuff, and and the characters look so fucking janky.
Oh
like,
no.
It looks like legitimately this game looks like it could have been made 10 years ago.
Yeah, it is kind of when you're reusing old engines and assets.
Well, they're just lazy. Like, Bethesda is just fucking lazy. They can't be bothered to rebuild the whole Fallout engine because, you know, I don't know.
Come on.
I think people are tired of their shit now ever since 76 just bombed. Although the other titles have been released, but I'm not even sure if those titles have been made by Bethesda or published by Bethesda. What are the other ones they did? Wasn't it Dishonored?
Dishonored is one, yes.
What were the other ones? Was Prey one?
They basically published Doom.
Oh well, yeah, they published it, but they didn't fucking make it, did they? Who are the people that made Doom?
Well, id Software, I presume, or
id. Yeah, so they just published it. Maybe the Bethesda should just stick to publishing because they're shit at actually making things themselves.
Well, they also make the music videos. Well, rather the trailer for Fallout 76 was pretty good.
Oh,
yeah, but if you're only
remind me of all the hype.
Everything else, that makes you a Tory.
But yeah, it's really such a shame, really. All the hype that went around it, all the public outreach and stuff they did with the local government and such to hype up the Appalachian area, and then just not a turd necessarily, but the somewhat noted disappointment when it came out was just.
What about the canvas bags and the lightwood laminate?
Yeah, it's
lightwood laminate.
It's really it's kind of awful how utterly they fumbled the follow up on the hype they built, and yeah.
Well, that's just the problem. Bethesda likes to hype shit up, but it's really just a mediocre product at best. I think that's how it is. I mean, Fallout 3 was kind of neat. Fallout New Vegas was good, but it was only good story-wise because it was made by a different studio, but it was still rushed to the point where it was still janky as fuck.
Well, yeah. Why do you expect when you have to try and make a whole game in like 9 months?
Yeah, and well, on the flip side, also New Vegas, there's so much potential that people tend to, I'll have to admit, myself included, idolize it for, but then you have to remember, it had potential, but due to those constraints, it just had to stop dead, midway on those, with modders having to pick up that torch. So I just feel bad for the devs who worked on it and just got schlonged out of the rewards because of that Metacritic score.
So chat, we were here previously in the last part, and we did shoot up all the raiders here. But don't worry, there'll be some fucking more in a minute.
Why are they pink?
Because they're horses.
That's not allowed. Pink is banned.
Anyway,
that's why you're shooting them, because they're banned colors.
The problem I had with the Fallout games also was the fact that though on the surface they seemed to be like an open world RPG, particularly New Vegas, really they were quite linear.
Yeah.
In terms of
they just like in Skyrim, you could tell there was an attempt to sort of freshen things up with Radiant quests, but even then those became rather formulaic fetch quests. It's kind of hard to make a world that responsive.
Oh, yes, it is. So that's not really a criticism of Bethesda. It's just criticism of the genre in general. It's like open world games are not as open world as I personally would like, but that would take an awful lot of like resources from a AAA company's level of funding and an indie company's level of dedication, which is just not.
Yeah, and even with like a completely linear quest line, they can still be quite compelling. I mean, think of GTA San Andreas, just the sheer size of that map, for the time, it was, again, for the time, with the graphics of that time, it was just so compelling to fly over the desert, have a look at, cruise through LA, San Francisco, and Las Vegas in one game. It was like perhaps even if you forego the whole dynamic questline thing, you can still make it quite compelling if you make the world enticing to explore in its own right.
I think it is difficult because if you're going to build an open world game, you've got to make the open world really well. And I think what Bethesda did with Fallout 4 was they decided they were going to make the world smaller and supposedly add more detail. But Gallant, playing the game, have you found that it's got more detail in the world than Fallout 3 necessarily?
Fallout 4, do you think it has more or less
detail in the world than Fallout 3?
I think they're actually about on par.
Yeah,
because
so
I
it's
think
really
both
smaller map, but it's less detail.
Yeah, well, Fallout 3 had a whole lot of, areas to explore, but they just kind of, I mean, they were kind of neat stories for themselves, but they just had a complete lack of something common to unite them. Like, you could just completely ignore the Republic of Dave, for example.
It's in the wrong place on the map, in my opinion.
What Bethesda games basically are is a linear main quest with a load of Easter eggs for the rest of the maps. That's what they are, and that's sort of what generally open world RPGs are. I mean, there are some that are kind of interesting. That like Oblivion was kind of neat because the world is actually like pleasant, and at the time people like thought it was breathtaking, because obviously Oblivion was this big, lush, interesting sort of thing. But quests, I don't know. Open world games are difficult to do.
Apparently, Nora is a robot.
Oh yes, the robot repair kit. That is, well, that's going to be a bit of an unpleasant conversation with her later on.
It's a fake Pip.
Oh no. Homage stole her from us and replaced her.
Okay, I'm slowly burning here.
I'm sure Godog has got a thing to say about that.
Oh no.
Eat all the melons. More melons. Melons of the melon god.
Needs a cheese wheel DLC.
I thought you preferred sausages.
Oh no.
That's a horribly homophobic joke.
No, it's not.
But I'll allow it.
No, it's not. How the fuck is
music
that homophobic?
Doesn't fit the current situation. Well, we'll need some Wasteland Whalers combat music.
Nah, bro.
Jesus Christ, how many raiders do they want to keep throwing at me?
The problem with Wasteland Whalers is if you want them to do just a combat thing, they're going to have to put voice in there somewhere because Skybot wants to fucking sing. So he would be doing half of the music with his voice.
Make it a cappella.
Exactly. I don't put it past. Don't give them ideas. They might do a fucking a cappella thingy. Are they even around anymore? Because FOE's pretty fucking dead. Not to like defeat the point of this thing, Gallant, but are Wasteland Whalers even still around?
I think they are. They've been making music kinda lately.
Oh, Dez's here. What's your favourite this? What's your favourite that? What's your favourite thing? What are your specs? Fucking okay, Daisy. I think Daisy's just saying everything he's not allowed to say in the Friendly Barons chat. TBH, fam.
Where are they still coming from? Fucking just die!
Well,
Oh,
when a mommy
no,
raider and
no.
a daddy raider really love each other, or if one drugs the other, as that certain meme says, but let's not go there, I suppose.
I think they just divide by mitosis.
Yeah. That would have been interesting if the Nuka World DLC had gotten a bit more in depth on, how some Diamond City brat, basically decides this cushy life isn't for them, or some farmer's kid says, nah, fuck this, I'm gonna go raiding instead. If you'd have had a bit more focus on how others, besides the overpowered player character, enter this kind of life beyond, Porter's backstory. Yeah.
I like how Discord notices the primary color in your avatar and makes that your sort of background.
Yeah, no,
That's
that's
kind
neat.
of intuitive technology.
There's just so many fucking dead raiders.
Maybe you need to leave the place because they're they got the clown car spawning mechanic.
Nah, it's
Like
fine.
fucking
I've already
AVP
killed them
2,
all.
when fucking its aliens just keep coming out of this hole in the wall and they just don't stop. Ah, the 2000s games, they were a thing.
It does feel a little like BS when you can see them actually spawning in. The Honest Hearts for New Vegas, well, admittedly the weakest DLC, but that DLC sure liked to ambush the player, perhaps to punish sneaky snipey builds. Who knows? But when you exited that one cave in the main quest, it would spawn cazadors at the entrance, just a couple feet away from you. Always hated that.
To be fair, I think I came here at a bad time, and I didn't have a chance to drop off all my junk.
Well, then let's do that.
Uh,
I really like the break action shotgun with the drum mag attached to
Oh, yeah,
one chamber.
You remember seeing this the last time. For those who haven't seen, this is what it does.
The Tommy gun shotgun, I guess.
What the fuck is that? Is it like
It's my
It
blackjack
breaks-
gun.
it breaks open and then you attach what? What? I'm not even American and that's triggering me. How does that work? How does it function? It looks like a Borderlands gun. It's like it may as well be a gun you throw away and then another gun materializes in your hand. Which is a Borderlands gun, I think. You throw the gun and it explodes and you just spawn another one.
I think I got all the bodies, or most of them anyway. I always pick up the guns because they do actually have ammunition in them when you pick them up.
Yeah, that's an interesting little change they made. In New Vegas, that would only happen if you pick them up off the ground, when they still have the ammo in them. And okay, by extension also in Fallout 3. Whereas if you picked it up from their inventory, you'd be screwed out of the ammo that would have been in the gun. Nice to see that Fallout 4 fixed that.
Yeah, I will give praise to Fallout 4. It does do a lot of technical changes, which I approve of greatly. Lots of nice quality of life stuff has gone on here, but there is the atrocious talking system to be aware of.
I don't think Nexus fully understands the power of Daisy. Mediocre is how I would describe
Tedious and
Borderlands.
mediocre. Oh my.
Yeah, dude. I'm not a fan of games where it's just grind. I don't like it because that's all Borderlands is just grinding.
I don't know what happens if I put an automatic barrel on this, but I want to find out.
Hang on, the barrel is the only thing. Wait, a barrel makes it automatic?
No, the receiver makes it automatic, but I want to know what happens.
Super barrel.
This is mods for you. They make
You
some.
can make a super shotgun and be all Doom guy.
Yes.
That's a comfort grip, is it?
It's more comfortable than the basic grip.
It's just had a bit of tape wrapped around it.
This triggers your workshop skills, eh?
Mm.
Well, yeah, because I understand ergonomics. I just got finished putting a handle on a sword today,
Oh, pray tell.
and I'm gonna have to do more shit to it because it's not quite right because it splits. I'm gonna have to fucking bind it in leather and shit. Ah, the woes of making things.
Perhaps the comfort grip could have used some Brahmin leather wrapping then.
Bruh. People wrap
Bruh.
things wrong with leather. They just cut a big strip and then just wrap it around and think that'll do, and that's not how. That's bad.
Well, it works if you're using something like hockey tape. That works just fine if you just
Yeah,
wrap it.
but hockey tape is absolutely naff as fuck.
Oh, well, we're all smartphone junkies who don't quite understand how to fix stuff ourselves.
Well, I mean,
think I'm going the right
it's
direction.
useful if you just want it to be like grippy, but it's not very pretty. At least I don't think it's pretty.
Yes, she is still here.
Are you talking about the Pip?
No, I'm talking about Trash Can Carla.
Bruh.
Oh my god. Oh no. Fallout Miami, that would be kind of amusing to sort of have corresponding GTA and Fallout games for the same locations. Vice City, Fallout Miami, San Andreas, Fallout New Vegas.
Spoilers here, Trash Can Carla is a synth.
Huh. I thought she was just an Institute informant, but...
No, I think she's an actual synth.
Huh. Well, quick save,
Get
kill her.
the Flammenwerfer.
Yeah, quick save, kill her, see if she has a synth component on her, and then reload.
How did you know? Well, I have stand powers.
Stando power.
My stander is a very powerful.
Oh lord.
And now we have cut off all access to the JoJo fandom.
Their stand is their muscles.
Got some more ammo. Do they have any shotgun shells?
Explains why no one else knows her, Nexus says in chat. Yeah, I just kind of wish there was a bit more interaction between factions. Like that's kind of one thing I missed. Well, for example, in Skyrim before Fallout 4 came out, that, for example, say they nobody would really react to you being the Archmage of Winterhold, and you really weren't the Archmage. That was Tolfdir. You were his errand boy in the Archmage robes, really. But
Pretty much, yeah.
Whereas in Oblivion, you were the big boy mage, but it didn't mean anything.
But like, what was fun in Oblivion is that if you complete the Archmage quest first, and then complete the Thieves Guild quest, you basically send a threatening letter to yourself.
Nice.
You are somehow orchestrating the downfall of the Thieves Guild while also working for the Thieves Guild without your own knowledge to this.
Maybe
That's a bit
play
fucky,
as a
not gonna lie.
But yeah, it would have been kind of interesting if, for example, the Brotherhood would have chastised the player for being out of uniform when on the Pridwen, or chastised them for hanging out with the Minutemen LARPers.
I don't think
Instead
Bethesda
of
Oh,
has the
fuck.
brain to do that.
I mean,
Oh,
I mean,
get deaded.
I'm
it's
not sure
kind
what
of
happened there. I don't know where all the damage came from.
Random crits,
from
bro.
guns.
You got them random crit rockets.
Yeah, but I mean, it's sort of, yeah, sure, it hampers the player's choice, but also it would add an element of commitment and consequence to one's actions if the factions were to show more open incompatibility, because the
Well, they
minute
had that in New Vegas, but that
yeah,
was kind of janky-ish.
yeah, admittedly, but like here, the Minutemen, I just kind of wish they were a bit less of a wet noodle faction.
Well, I don't think they want you to be able to. They don't want you closing doors on yourself. But to be perfectly honest, that would mean people would play the game more
I mean,
because they do different playthroughs.
well, that's the thing, playing it as an actual role-playing game versus playing it as a shooter with a bit of story on the side, where you just, blindly try to do as many of the good boy quests for each faction to just max out your rewards from each faction, rather than, spending actual thought into role-playing as a character. I
Yeah,
must
I
admit,
know,
I'm
right?
guilty.
Like, I like playing as the Minutemen, and that's just me. But I also realize that they're not that good to play as. Like, they have the least interesting stuff going about them because they have to be always open to you as an option to complete the game.
Yeah. Sort of like Yes Man being sort of not really that fleshed out, just simply because he is that last, emergency rope to the game ending if you cock everything else up.
That's a Britishism. I thought you were an American German.
Okay, so perkings.
Perks.
Oh, we will take the most useful perk of them all, Aqua Boy. Nah.
The You know what? Fuck it, I'll get this.
Because, yeah, it's...
I don't know what it do, but it do
Thinking of
something.
perks and role-playing, like also, for example, Animal Friend, it's such a garbage tier perk, but if you're role-playing as an actual, as a pacifistic, Velvet Remedy-ish
I
doctor,
mean,
I guess.
it's a good perk if you're lazy and you don't like killing animals because you don't like them attacking you. But that kind of defeats half of the random encounters in most of the games.
Well,
Basically, that was the
that's
whole
looking
thing with Fallout 3. Like, you had to actively get things to make you avoid things in the game. Like the ghoul mask, you wear that, ghouls don't attack you anymore. Animal friend, animals don't attack you anymore. That's most of the enemies that you'll face in most of the map gone.
I
Yeah, so
mean,
you're just walking around.
that's looking at it from the shooter perspective. This is a useful perk to me for this and that reason,
Yeah, but
completely disregarding what kind of a person I'm. I mean, that's just the whole schizophrenic part of the Fallout thing. It tries to pretend to still be a role playing game, but I don't know.
it's an open world shooter.
Yeah. I guess in the end, it's also kind of sort of like how in PnP groups, it's also up to the player's decency to not just, flat out do a cheesy build to just insta kill everything without having anything interesting to say as a character. It's up to the player themselves to actually commit to a single faction, even if they'd have higher rewards doing both factions. Sort of like how Nuka World, I guess, it's kind of sort of, you can spoil yourself by doing the raiders and then the Minutemen, just so that you can have the best of both worlds, rather than committing to, no, I'm going to be a raider to the end of the game, no, I'm going to be a Minuteman through and through. even if that means missing out on the rewards of the other faction. I guess in the end, yeah, you don't want the game developer to railroad you into that. It's sort of punishment for making your own experience as the player bland by having no self-control, I guess. I have to reflect on this some more. Those veins look so bad on the bloodshot eye, Nexus remarks. I wasn't even paying that much attention to
They do.
the player
It's hard
models.
to add details like that onto
Cartoonish, yeah.
a cartoon thing. What would have been better would have been sort of a reddish haze around the corners instead of those veins.
Yeah. To at least stick to
People are
one
shit
of the
at-
two
The
styles.
thing about pony fandom is that a lot of people are shit at aesthetics. Well, I think in general people are shit at aesthetics. And they try to there are certain things that you've just got to stay within the theme. If your horse is very basic, for example, you can only add the basic things, design-wise. If all of a sudden it's got really complex design on a very pastel, very uncomplex model, all of a sudden it just stands out. It's the whole...
Yeah.
Aesthetics have got to blend properly. They already did that, Daisy. Look.
And I'm
They already
still
put a
up.
drum magazine on the break action.
Yeah, it's a bit fucky. Not gonna lie, it's a bit fucky.
I mean, admittedly, yeah, some OC designs you see out there just kind of tell you how much dedication to aesthetics.
Now I finally got a bunch of ammunition for my revolver.
Is it a big iron?
I mean, it's more like a big tin.
Scrap iron.
A big scrap metal.
Scrap iron.
And now I'm literally digging through some trash.
That is the way.
The way of the murder hobo.
Alright, where to now? Apparently I've finished this, but I don't know what I'm doing. Ah, there we go, calling home, that's what I've been doing. Riveting gameplay, I know.
Riveting.
Do Nuka World? No, I think he would get utterly trashed by the raiders.
That's
if
a
he went there
mighty
now.
fucking bold thing. Do you think I can take on Nuka World at level 6?
That would be an exercise in masochism.
It can be done. You can complete Nuka World at level 1, or starting at level 1. It has been done. But it's, my god, is it just it's something that someone who's good at the game can do. I'm actually trash at this.
You mean you're rubbish?
Yes, I'm rubbish. Yes.
Good. Speak English, man. Speak English, man!
He's garbo.
Have some respect for our language. Sounded like one of those bloody Yanks. We don't want none of that rubbish, do we?
Indeed, that would
and
be.
And suddenly Winston Churchill has stormed the chat.
Just do it. How about we don't?
How about I give myself a redecorating of my personal quarters with hint of brain? That would be about as effective.
Brian?
Hint of brain.
Look at that lounging on that chair. trigger to unlock.
If it's operational, we'll be able to use it to get to command. While Sergeant Peterson debriefs us, I'll need you to investigate.
Oh, they didn't make his given name be 4, so he could be Forward.
No. Obviously, I want to just be aware, make sure you're aware here. This mod was not intended originally to be ponified, but it did gain ponified. The real shame is that they haven't finished this mod technically. There's supposed to be more content further than the ending of this, but they've not released it yet.
As tends to happen with ambitious fan projects.
Alright, let's go take a walk over to Sanctuary, have a sleep, and then go on our great adventures down south.
Yep,
Hey,
way down south.
That sounds like something Pip would be interested in.
Hmm.
Normally I like to play this game by focusing on building settlements, but clearly that's not the most riveting gameplay for anyone to watch at home. So
Yeah, nah.
Might be. What topics did you have to discuss, by the way, Gallant? You had some topics for
yes,
us.
we had some topics brought up. Where am I going?
It's hot topics, if you were.
Yes, I'm going here. Going a long way out of my way here. So, one of the topics was, what would we expect to see in a new Fallout game? We kind of slightly touched on this a little bit.
In a new Fallout game.
Not really sure.
Yeah, I mean, if this was like a wish list to Santa Claus, a new game engine.
I'm sorry, that's not allowed. That'll cost you too many play coins. Points for in chat where I got that reference from.
Oh dear.
Other than that, a new Fallout game, it's just the franchise would have to eventually find some new ground to tread, really. I mean, that's the thing. How do you stay a Fallout game in a, post-apocalyptic world that's becoming increasingly, less hunter-gatherer, more back to civilization?
You go to a
whole
place that
thing
was
about-
always backwards then.
I mean, the whole NCR problem. Once that reaches a certain point, then it's more settlers than Fallout.
I mean, like I said, you go to a place that was always very backwards. Also, I'm going in the wrong direction.
Indeed, you are. Yeah, it's just Fallout is mostly a frontier aesthetics, and you can't really have a frontier forever.
No, I don't suppose you can have a frontier forever.
Good point brought up in the chat. I mean, yeah, if you want the game to be as moddable as it is, then yes, indeed, I agree. You would keep the game engine, but Bethesda itself seems to have started steering away from user-generated content more into content they can monetize. Think about the Creation Club. So, They just might artificially make it less moddable, is my personal fear. Yes, console-focused development is indeed the problem. Like that's what I would also personally blame behind, the stupid dialogue wheel instead of the dialogue options, and just a lot of conspicuous new things they added in Fallout 4 that are catered towards having fewer buttons to press than mouse and keyboard. I hate it, but I can see how from the perspective of the publisher who wants a wider casual audience, it would make sense to make it more cross-platform friendly.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's kind of. I'm not sure what kind of expectations to realistically hold another Fallout game to, that wouldn't be bound to what Bethesda as a publisher wants. So in a way, I guess it'd be more like what other franchises to look into that are similar enough to Fallout.
Well, it's more.
Well,
What would you like to see? Like, what could you expect? Like, what would be your wish list more than anything
my
else?
wish list would definitely be that it retains, the ability to have offline modding that is not moderated by Bethesda, as it has been before the Creation Club. What I'd wish for, something that would encourage a more role play thing. I mean, that's the whole problem. You can have a curated experience all you want, but in order to, have that D&D group feeling, it's just inevitable that you would need a human other players, a human game master to help nudge you in the direction of feeling like a more lively, realistic person you're playing as. Yeah, how the hell would you even do that in a computer game that without having some sort of AI or something or human evaluation of your game choices? I mean that's one of the hurdles, I guess, of the sandbox role playing game genre. I don't know. Armix, you have perhaps some insights to give on that?
Not really. I don't really have I mean, what I like in games is very different to what sort of the genre already is, really.
Oh.
So I don't have a lot to really sort of comment on that. Really, I'm more of sort of an open world, lots of variety to do whatever I feel like at the time. I'm not really interested in being pointed in a direction. I'm very much like my ideal sort of open world RPG would have lots of different options and lots of different play styles and more sort of.
Yeah. Where perhaps there would be some way of
a bit like Mount
sure.
and Blade, except with a bit more depth rather than the very simple of you now own this city, or whatever the fuck, Like with Fallout, obviously the aesthetic is important. The difference between Fallout and an Elder Scrolls game is literally the aesthetic. That's it. So I don't know. I mean, I'd like. I don't know. I don't know enough about the Fallout universe to really say what I would like from it, honestly.
Yeah, plus, I mean, what we wish to see might be greatly different from what actually gives us a better experience in the game.
It's hard to say, really. It's hard to say what I want from Fallout. Also, those ghouls are weird. Why are the ghouls human, but the Ponios?
Because it's a lot of work to change these models, and that's why they didn't do it.
Lazy.
I know, it's jarring as well and not exactly great, but this is what we got.
I mean, the fact that they're fucking anthro is jarring enough, to be perfectly honest with you. Disgusting.
Yes,
Armix is a very, very special boy.
Exactly, that's on the wish list. An actual Fallout Equestria game where you are four-legged horses, none of this
I mean, they tried doing that. I don't know whether they've cancelled it. What game was that? Was that Overmare Studios?
Oh, that's still going on. They're still working on that.
That's going to take them. It's going to be like Overgrowth. It's just going to always be. It's just going to take so long. I don't even know if it will still be relevant by the time it comes out. It's Half-Life 3. But we'll see.
Well, to be fair, with the Half-Life series, they actually did advance the story.
Half-Life. Oh right, yeah, they've released a new game, haven't they?
Yeah, and it does advance the story, and it suggests that there will be another Half-Life game soon.
Yeah, but worth the wait. Gaben said that about
Where are the? I can't see them.
Shoot them.
Ah, there's the fucker hiding in the undergrowth.
I mean, I guess one example would be, the player would wish for better guns, better like being able to just choose on a flip of a dime between factions, but perhaps a bit of tough love might be something that would benefit the player better, where it would actually be like, well, no, if you want to try out this faction's story, well, you have to start over as a different character, Basically, this guy has no reason to suddenly, become a completely different person. Sort of, I don't know, encourage the player to commit to their actions more.
Yeah. Would also improve replayability if they did that, because you have to have a dedicated NCR playthrough, for example, because. Once you reach a certain point,
everything as one character,
Like, I don't think it's a good idea to have a playthrough where you can have every single faction under your pinky, where you become the Archmage of the entire freaking universe.
Yeah, and while it is a bit painful, for example, to not have one single overpowered build for every playthrough, in the end, that's just kind of what forces the player to grow and explore other options. So, tough love is something that might need to be introduced.
Chat was saying I should go to Nuka World. It's just up there. I'm still not going. All right. So, oh.
Nexus is a furry.
What a great name, Deathclaw Valley.
Oh,
farty butt facility.
Go and play with some Deathclaws.
Well, the thing is, in Fallout 4 also, it just dissuades you from dropping a 200 plus level character to start over again. It's just kind of...
It gets boring after a while once you've done everything.
Yeah, but that shouldn't be the reason, really. Like sure, like players bitched about, not being able to continue after the game playing in New Vegas, but then again, New Vegas is a story with, a definite ending. And at some point, you reach a level cap, and you're not supposed to become some wasteland god. You just maxed out that single path, and hey, it's time for a Legion playthrough for once, or a Mr. House playthrough. Even though you feel so bad for
Jesus
Veronica
Christ,
when you have to kill the
shit today.
It's just kind of forcing the player to kill their babies in the next playthrough, I guess.
Well, it would definitely add more variety to it. Like, there would be certain factions you could... I don't know, it would require a lot of... I think it's also Bethesda being lazy, because in order to code that, like, proper consequences, that's a lot of coding. A lot more coding. That's like double, triple. You
Yeah.
know, the amount of work. And Bethesda, as we know, are fucking lazy. So that's probably why they just have all the different quests, and oh my god, he's got a blooming stormtrooper gun.
Yeah, yeah.
He ain't gonna hit shit, Captain.
Yeah, Nexus has a point there. The dopamine dispenser gameplay loop, that's kind of it, really. You have a high-level character, you just go after fetch quests with enemies that have increasingly high health pool to scale with your ridiculously high level. It
I
does
don't
get...
like that. I want there to be high level areas and low level areas, like certain parts of the game which are like, okay, this is like New Vegas kind of had that in the sense you go the wrong way, you're dead.
Yeah,
Like
and also
that's more
conversely,
realistic.
you're not like forced to only be able to loot pipe guns no matter where you go if you're low level. Like this, having the
opposed to,
entire
like,
world
Borderlands.
revolve around the player's level was also a bit weird.
It should really be a case that a player can only access certain areas unless they're really good at playing the game or they're at a high enough level to do so.
Yeah,
And I think that should be how the gameplay thing works. But you know,
maybe less hand holding for the player and just kind of
yeah.
again in
But
view of the consequences thing. Just
you know, if a game is too hard, it's not mainstream.
yeah,
It goes back down to being able to market it. You know, that's why games have got easier and easier, so that it appeals to a broader and broader market. Video games used to be more challenging in a way because one, it was more of a niche audience and stuff, and two, the challenge was considered important, whereas video games now are played as almost like chill out stuff. They're not meant to really challenge you, unless it's like an indie game or a game that's specifically designed to challenge you. But a lot of games are trying to. The most successful games are games which are casual, as opposed to not. And obviously, if you want to cash in on the casual market, you don't make your game require hard decisions and require actual practice and skill. You know, because that means that it's not a game that you can just casually sell to. Just a casual gamer. That's the sort of position that you're put in. So it's
too
hard.
nutty for the cashew gamer, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, then you do have games that are challenging for challenging's sake. Like, for example, Kingdom Come Deliverance. As much as I love realism in video games, and I'd love more, the combat system, by its very nature, will feel very chunky and janky. It doesn't, though it's very realistic. Like it's something that takes you. You gotta, it's not a casual thing. You don't just pick it up. Like if you want to play the game and say I'm going to be an archer, you've got to actually practice because otherwise you're going to be terrible. It's not like your standard point and click shoot.
Okay, I will concede to Nexus in the chat. Yes, it does have zone leveling, but it's just kind of annoying that the random loot, for example, is somewhat noticeably affected by
Oh, the thing that made me cringe the most about Oblivion was once you reached level 20, all of the bandits had glass armor. Why are the bandits wearing armor that is so valuable that it's the same price as a fucking house? Like why do they need to be bandits if they've got fucking Daedric and glass armor? It's that kind of thing. It's
They shouldn't be bandits anymore. They should just sell the armor and get a house and a life.
Yeah. Why are they sitting? Why are they highwaymen? Why has this highwayman got a Daedric warhammer? It's like, why is he a highwayman? Surely he could upgrade to mercenary or something.
Yeah. Or
like,
just, get an actual job, like an actual person. A fucking scrub.
Bruh. You sound like a boomer.
Well, guess I'm a boomer now. Also,
boomer!
Yeah, it's just kind of when the obvious when the mechanics get
Oh no! I've killed Scotch Tape.
Oh no!
Oh no! Don't worry, she'll come back to life. That's what always happens.
Oh, you did her a favor. She's no longer stuck in a strange, grim, dark adventure now. You set her free from her story.
Oh dear.
Lewd.
TOS? Oh wait, no. If you can play Conan, what's it called? You're fine.
Yeah, just try to keep taking their underclothing to a minimum, please.
Of course.
Which mod is that? Fuck. Is that just par for the course? Oh Jesus, they got a laser shotgun.
I like the laser shotgun. It's one of my favorite mod weapons in the game. What the fuck happened there?
Womp womp.
Alright, let's take another...
No, little Pip, don't take all those chems. You don't need the Mentos. Oh. Uh-oh.
Or he's gonna beat you with his little tiny toothpick. Oh, you got sweet rolls in this.
Yeah, of course there's sweet rolls
Is that a
in this.
mod or is that
No,
something?
that's vanilla.
Also, I don't know what the fuck my eyes are doing.
My
I
sweet
can't see-
roll.
Oh no!
Poor horsey.
I definitely need to quick save more often in this place. It's really fucking dangerous.
Yep.
At least you're not like Nextcave 86 that quick saved every fucking second. Because he was
Oh,
a fucking
no.
perfectionist. He used to save state his way through Resident Evil. If he so much as got tripped by a zombie, he would reload because he couldn't handle it.
Oh, that's a bit of a bad habit to also maybe wean players off of. Then again, then people just play it like Noita, where they just manually, save and copy paste the save state files.
Mm-hmm.
Just again, some of the stuff that just something that the player finds convenient, but actually just makes for an unfun habit.
Not again.
Oh no, Gallant.
They got fucking balloons, man. Don't worry,
I
it's
don't
all
know how to
one colour.
fix it.
Therefore,
I don't know how to get rid of it. I genuinely can't work it out.
Yeah, that's the whole matter of, does the mod author offer, player models that wear actual underwear, or are you SOL?
don't worry, it's because it's all the same colour, therefore the nipples don't exist. And because the nipple doesn't exist, it's not real. And therefore it's perfectly safe for work.
Nexus says, why do you not pay attention to your health? Perhaps...
I can't keep track of it. My bullet sponginess is very minimal.
Well, that's a bad player habit to grow out of by playing difficult. I mean, by playing more smartly.
I don't
Kind
think
of
I don't think it's a nude mod Nexus because clearly these models. Let's be honest. If he had intentionally installed a nude mod, the male horses wouldn't have boxers. Nexus.
No, if it's from Nexus Mod Manager, then it will be that way.
It's just the female models on these ponies are just. It's just
Horny.
the female ones. Oh, for fuck's sake! You'd also tell it's something to do with the bloody models.
Yeah.
Because they've made them beach balls. I think armor is banned from being looted.
Okay, I will loot no more armor.
But yeah, back to that theme. There is this interesting video on YouTube also about playing Skyrim on a higher difficulty simply because it will encourage you to stop just dumbly walking up on your enemies and just assuming you can just bullet sponge everything out. That it actually doing that then forces you to actually make use of the environment more often to play as a better player and not just, I have better stats, therefore I'm a better like actually making, not just making it easier to just kill everything, but to actually encourage the player to make better use of the tools they have at their
Well, that's why
disposal.
like having realistic like damage is potentially a good idea, like as an option, because it does force you to play that way. Like one stray arrow, for example, or one stray bullet,
Oh,
bang,
fuck's sake.
run over.
Yeah,
Oh dear, somebody has decided to
I
shoot
mean,
me.
making it easier for the enemies to kill the player just doesn't really do anything, since the player will just, save scum. So instead, you just have to, not make it that easy to reduce the amount of time it takes to kill each individual enemy. Even if the player might grumble about no longer having, the constantly increasing level damage or something, but
Well, they did. Again, I'll bring up Kingdom Come Deliverance because it tackled this problem quite interestingly in the sense that saves were limited. Like you could save at any time, but it was limited by an item called Savior Schnapps, which was an item in your inventory that you had a certain number of, and you basically you had to buy them. So you basically bought quick saves. So they were a limited commodity, which meant that if you did it, you had to be tactical about it. Otherwise, it was all based on autosaves. And you could only like manually save it in the game either by using those or by actually quitting. And that would just save your progress as to where you were. It wouldn't act as a means to autosave. So by having it as an item, limited. I don't know how you would make that as a gameplay mechanic that made sense. I mean, the way they did it in the game was it was a consumable item that just in canon did nothing, but for you it did.
Yeah, I
else.
mean, also just even if it would be hard to unite with with realistic weapon damage, perhaps also an approach like Team Fortress 2's weapons and equipment items would be interesting, where none of the weapons are a straight up upgrade, but rather emphasize a certain tactic over another, and it's up to the player to best utilize that.
Well, of course, the way to do that would be to make all guns basically lethal, and the only way to avoid getting one shot would be having really good armor and hoping that it was a low caliber weapon and it hit that specific part of your armor.
And as a player, being smart enough to take cover rather than just dumbly stand there.
It wouldn't be about the damage; it'd
be
about the other things. For example, a pistol would be, I don't know, quicker to draw from a holster as opposed to a rifle if it was on your back, for example. So for gunslinging, you would quickly draw a pistol. But the amount of time it would take for you to register that, I suppose, in a gameplay mechanic wouldn't matter.
Plus, you still want to hold a new players, a player who's new to the genre and doesn't know the cliches of video game genres that well.
I mean, the option really is that you code the game in such a way whereas there's a casual mode and a hardcore mode, and the hardcore mode basically totally changes the way the game is played in the sense that casual mode is the standard run, standard health, standard damage stats and everything, but the hardcore mode is almost like an overhaul mod. But that does mean that you're coding effectively.
Leave the fatigues on? Oh, okay, that was a male model. Never.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to warn Gallant.
I'm aware. I am looking at the models before I'm looting them thoroughly.
Good. But yeah, it's just kind of. Dang, I had slightly lost my train of thought, but it's. Oh yeah, but and also in this day and age, it's just, having YouTube around is just makes such a huge difference. When I was a kid playing video games, there were some sections I just completely got stuck on, and all you had back then were like printed magazines or some web pages where you had like verbal typed out descriptions of what to do, and then if the person was completely shit at describing motions or something, then they just couldn't convey it. Whereas now with YouTube, it's just everybody has the bandwidth needed for showing a video of, and this is how you actually trick this enemy, and it's just it's easier to learn game mechanics and typical muscle memory stuff that way.
Yeah. It depends on what experience you're looking for.
Yeah.
Definitely Fallout games have become more casual.
Yeah,
I don't know, if it's a AAA title, you've got to expect it to be geared for the casual market. Because that's a AAA in a nutshell.
Yeah, and it's not like we're trying to poo-poo something as being elitist. This is just more, looking at how, well, dumbing down the game to make it easier to just effortlessly go through just detracts from the overall experience, from the depth. You're making it, wide as an ocean but shallow as a pond. It's just, yeah. Like, again, it's basically, if you give the player the option to, do both the Nuka World Raiders and the Minutemen in the character, you therefore are, absolving them of any need to commit to, drop their baby, their precious 255 level character to start over from a different character's perspective. It's, I don't know, perhaps. Okay, that actually would formulate into a concrete wish in the next Fallout game. What if your player died, you respawn, but the story didn't start over, but instead you were in a different faction, while still being affected by your first player character's choice, unless you specifically chose to start over
That's
the
very
story.
Dwarf Fortress.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that really works, in my opinion.
Yeah, unfortunately, the genre and what's feasible in the computer game might. Yeah.
Clearly, I didn't empty Little Pip's inventory.
Well, you can just exploit the game engine by just dropping them in manual, telling human companions to pick them up. They'll just pick them up regardless of however encumbered they are. Anyway. Yes, it's a development nightmare. I mean, and that's just the whole thing, that also the game engine limits, how much you can dedicate to, actually, talking the talk and walking the walk of being a role-playing experience rather than just a shooter with guns that have damage numbers that go up.
Damage numbers go brrr.
Yes.
Hee-hoo.
So yeah, unfortunately, I'm not exactly from a video game development background. I don't know the answers to how to, refresh the Fallout franchise, how to make an actually good game that, breaks with the paradigms in a way that works. But because that's just the thing. The paradigm itself is exhausted. So in order to actually make a new Fallout game that's not just more of the same since Oblivion is...
Since Morrowind.
Yeah.
Now here's a bit of a hot take on that.
Go ahead.
I didn't like the fact that you couldn't fast travel in Morrowind.
Admittedly, fast travel is also one of those things. It's a thing of convenience that's definitely a progress for skipping, completely meaningless shit between main quests.
It depends on how good the universe really is. I mean, it definitely slows down gameplay. It makes the quests. It would make if the world was more sort of like full of stuff, it would mean that it's an actual journey. Like, I know some people choose to play. I mean, it's a good option to have available, but some people choose to play the game just by wandering around. I mean, it's good as an option, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, you can always choose not to.
Yeah, especially depending on what portion of the game you are. If you're just doing grindy stuff, it actually is better to not fast travel than, actually explore a little location that you otherwise would completely miss out on. Whereas if you're actually pursuing the main quest, then it is convenient to, skip over some of the travel sections.
There are probably some quests that are so back and forth that it's like, well, it's almost certainly geared to the fact the game has fast travel. Like, I'm sure there are some quests where it's literally, you go tell him this, okay, well, you go tell her that, and then you literally go back and forth for no.
Yeah, that's literally that part of the main quest when you find Virgil in the glowing sea. You have to go all the way out from the glowing sea back to Sanctuary or the Pridwen, and then back out to the glowing sea.
Yeah, and that's
talk to Virgil
clearly
again.
for someone
Yeah.
that's very tedious for someone that's playing the game without fast travel. But if you do gear the game and you make the gameplay specifically geared towards people not fast traveling, then you end up in a situation where the game goes really quickly when people do. So it's hard to get that balance.
I mean, at the very least, the game itself offers the vertibird signal grenades for that kind of fast travel. But if you were to have a dedicated, like, fuck the power, I'm not doing anything with the Brotherhood run, the problem is the only two factions in the game that have something that's, a logistic perk to being with the faction are, the Institute with their teleportation, which you don't unlock until you're, like, well into the main quest, and the Brotherhood with their vertibirds. The Minutemen have, well, nothing to offer vehicle or transportation-wise.
Not until you earn it.
What do you earn with the Minutemen that
you can get
helps you travel
vertibirds with the
faster?
Minutemen?
Well, that's after you wipe out the Brotherhood in the main quest line, I believe. So that's irrelevant during the main quest.
The fact about the Minutemen, and they start off as objectively the weakest faction with the least to offer at the beginning of the game.
Yeah,
that's not a contentious statement.
Well, yes, they are the weakest faction, but even then, they could have something like, I don't know, that you send a message runner.
I'm trying to tell you something about them. My point being about them is that, yes, they start off as the weakest faction in the game, but through your work, they end up being the strongest faction overall. They give you help when you ask for it. They give you artillery support, basically pretty much the entirety of the Commonwealth. You get vertibirds as well. They give you the most amount of stuff, but you have to work for it.
Okay.
Which kind of fits their whole idea, their whole shtick and gimmick.
Right. I mean, I'd also like to get back to something that was said in the chat. Starhoarder says, "Who says it needs to be groundbreaking? If it's fun, it's fun." Yeah, that's the thing. Casual isn't bad necessarily, but
depends what you're going for. I'm just talking about what I want out of a video game compared to what.
What the franchise wants to go for. Yeah.
It's finding that balance between gameplay that's rewarding but isn't too hard, but at the same time isn't boring and repetitive. And, I suppose you can have a casual gameplay experience without it being boring.
I can fucking get grenades on this.
Wow.
I'm fucking
Make
shotgun
it a very
receivers.
big iron. Can you rename it Very Big Iron?
I can put a fucking shotgun receiver on this.
Does it go pew pew?
Let's try the grenade receiver.
I don't have any 20 mil grenades though. I'd love to do it.
It says shotgun shells, not 20 mil.
But look on the side here. That's just a typo.
Oh, okay, a typo. Oh, right then. Shotgun receiver it is.
Sure. I will make a pipe revolver pistol with a shotgun receiver. Fuck it. Why the hell not?
Indeed. And you can chamber 50 BMG into a 12 gauge shotgun, but that's no reason to actually do that.
That's a very bad idea.
They did that. In fact, I believe they. What was it? Who was it? Gun Gripes did that. With they took an old shotgun and they put it through all sorts of shit, and eventually the thing that killed it was 3 rounds of 454.
Seriously, I can put a medium scope on my shotgun pistol.
Yeah, dude.
Fuck it, why the hell not?
Sniping's a good job, mate.
Call it Big Macintosh.
Yes, I will.
Oh, come on, you're British. You gotta make it McKintosh.
No, Mac Irontosh.
Oh no.
Big Mac Irontosh.
Ah,
Big
for the absolute memes.
At least they tried with this one. They actually changed the model.
Can you imagine if you found an explosive pipe revolver pistol and then put the shotgun receiver on that? How cheesy that'd be. Have this shitty little pipe gun that does cheesy
It's
damage.
fucking insane. It's insane to think about.
Plus,
Also, I
I
need
think
to
you can
dump
put
off
a
any
rifle
scrap
grip
I
on
got
that,
before I
right?
forget. Sorry, what'd you say, VG?
You can put a rifle stock on that, right?
Yes, but I don't want to put a rifle stock on it, just for the
Yeah, I'm just saying, once you get to the sniper perk, you can then make that a shotgun that knocks enemies
Oh
down.
no! Are you for serious?
Wow, that's a cute looking gun.
I will have to admit,
Also,
I really like to
my
do
other shotgun is also
cheesy
here.
builds, just for the heck of it.
It doesn't do the automatic stuff. I'm fucking disappointed with that.
Like,
I wasted
that's
getting a
something-
long barrel for this.
Aw.
Well, guess I'm off to find some fucking screws.
Yep. But yeah, we'll have to
Are
admit,
you sure it's
for
the
all
barrel of
my...
the receiver?
No, it's got the automatic receiver on it. It needs a normal barrel.
Huh, as opposed to an abnormal barrel. But yeah, for all my waning and waxing about not giving into instant gratification, boy, is it fun to satisfy my id by just doing completely tastical builds. All
I'm
the
going to go up to
explosive pipe
the
guns.
USFA, US Air Force Station Olivia. Let's go and kill some raiders.
Indeed, some writers.
Actually, how much ammunition do I have for my big rifle? Oh, that's a good amount of ammunition.
Don't forget to empty out Nora's inventory.
I already did that.
Wonderful.
Oh!
That rat stack dough.
Didn't see it fucking coming. So, other topics. PMP stuff, like, was a general concept we discussed about discussing.
Pimp.
Ooh.
No, not that. Pen and paper games. Most people will, know that as Dungeons and
Fuck's
Dragons.
sake.
Mole rat.
The mule rite. It's a funeral rite that mules at you. Well, that shotgun receiver sure helped. And that was Armix hitting the mole rat with the frying pan.
Bonk. Actually, that was my sword hitting a water bottle.
He's a sword man.
Indeed, and it's folded only 500 times.
I don't think it's folded at all.
Actually, here's the thing I want to bring up. This is a personal gripe about me someone who likes history. Japanese steel isn't fucking shit. Japanese steel is barely fucking steel.
No, it's the same technology that everyone was using until they discovered tempering around late Viking Age. Because what they were doing when they were constructing their blades were they were having soft areas and hard areas at the very edge, hardened edges but soft cores, because they hadn't figured out tempering yet. So the Japanese have always done that. They've had steel that they can harden and quench for the edge, and then they'd have soft iron. That's how they did things. It'd be
The thing
interesting
is that the katana isn't even that great a sword.
No, I mean,
It was a weapon of last resort. It was fine for butchering peasants, which is pretty much its primary job.
well, its job was to be a sidearm, and that's the thing about all swords. Really, they're sidearms. They're not your battlefield weapon. And
The
swords are tailored
spear, eh?
for the culture that they're born from. But yes, katanas are not like magical super weapons. I think everyone understands that, but they're not shit either. They kill people, and that's their job.
Yeah, they're not a jack of all trades. They are a tool with a specific purpose. My sword's a tool of justice.
They are very fucking heavy though. They're heavy and they're short.
They're not. But I think my point is that they're not that great as weapons. They're not as great as fucking weebs say that they are.
Well, no,
Well,
obviously,
of
I think
course not.
everyone knows that by now. I think that's sort of the
I don't know.
That's
There's a
the
lot of
thing.
people out there that would disagree with me and say that I'm fucking wrong.
Well, clearly those people don't care enough about swords to have listened to all of the people that are now on the big old YouTubes talking about swords.
Yeah,
That know
including
slightly
people.
more than other people,
Yeah.
but only slightly.
Yeah, including those who say that the trying to even compare them to the European swords is like it's just wanky. My dad could beat up your dad tier thinking.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. Again, it's one of those. It's dependent on lots of factors how a weapon evolves, and it's there to achieve not just the practicalities of the weapon, but also the other things a weapon needs to be. Most of the time, a weapon spends its time, particularly a sword, is sitting in its scabbard, doing nothing and looking pretty. That's its purpose most of the time, which is why you often see them incredibly decorated or decorative. I try to say decorated and decorative at the same time. Didn't work.
Or decadent.
Well, yeah, they were. Swords really only. Well, swords have always been. I suppose swords have always been kind of like. Yeah. Well, a sword's purpose is when your polearm is no longer useful, or your gun is no longer useful. That's what a sword is for. Generally speaking, you do not want to be.
Good old Lindy Beige.
I won't go into the. I won't go into all the details of the nuances of all of that, because that's like probably a topic better talked about by other people.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I just think it's actually kind of interesting when guys like Lindy Beige do the whole LARP thing about this is what the spear is good for, this is what the sword is good for, and that's why you just don't use the sword for every situation. And ditto the spear.
There's something to be said about actually using them, but obviously you've got to think of it from a realistic perspective, and finding that balance between. At the minute, we're only just starting to combine the tactics of reenactment fighting with the techniques of HEMA, and once those are combined in a way that's safe, that's the closest you're going to get to figuring out how people actually use their weapons.
Indeed. HEMA. What was that? Historic European martial arts?
Yeah. But most people refer to that as historic. Like a more accurate term for most of it would be historical fencing, because most of it is just long sword, saber, and maybe a bit of sword and buckler. Most people, that's what they only do. But technically, HEMA is everything European. So everything from German mud wrestling all the way to fisticuffs is technically historical European martial arts.
Also, yes, Nexus, the random suits of power armor that are frickin' everywhere in the Commonwealth. I mean, from a gameplay perspective, yeah, it makes sense to have power armor be a bit more common, I guess, to allow the player to experience it without, like in previous games, having to basically either join the Brotherhood or be well into the main quest that they have other people teaching them how to use power armor is. I kind of like power armor being a common vehicle, and it kind of does solve, not using fast travel. Like, if you have a suit of power armor, with the Atom Cat's paint job and with the Speedy Boy fast leg mods, it's it's actually pretty convenient for racing around through the Commonwealth without using fast travel. So from that perspective, it is a matter of convenience that really helps, break the tedium of walking everywhere. What are you shooting at?
A mini nuke, because you can get it to get out.
Okay,
you're trying to
just
ragdoll
casually
it out.
shooting a mini nuke.
No, it's dumb. It is incredibly dumb, but take my word for it, it's fine.
That reminds me of
If I want,
killing.
I could just drop a fucking fat deuce on those guys over there.
Yeah.
Speaking of Lindy Beige, Nexus has mentioned Lindy Beige. I've got a funny story about old Lindy Beige,
Go
Oh
on.
boy.
which is kind of insider information. So, I'm friends with a group of blacksmiths who helped him make his sword for his suit of armor. And basically, the funny thing is that he ran out of time, and he says he ran out of time on the video, but what he doesn't mention is the reason why he ran out of time was because he was being alloyed and talking the whole time when he should have been swinging the hammer.
Oh
He just
no.
did not. He was just talking. And the hilarious thing was they invited him to a house party as well, which was, can you imagine Lindy Beige? He was. I asked
He's one of the most
my
interesting,
friend.
boring men in history.
Well, no, I asked my friend, like, what was he like, and he said exactly like he is in the videos. You think that's a persona? It's not. He
I
is
know it's not a
exactly the
persona.
same. He's exactly the same.
That's cute and wholesome.
Yeah.
No, he's a
I
good
mean, it
guy.
depends on who you are. I mean, the group of they I won't say the exact terminology one of them used to describe him, but it's some people find it endearing, others clearly don't, and I'll leave it at that. But yeah, so that's an interesting factor. Also, they were kind of annoyed that he didn't promote them anymore, because all he said was, "I'm in Glastonbury." He didn't mention, he just linked to their Facebook page in his video
Well,
description.
let's stay out of personal slights and squabbles. Remember,
Yeah,
this is going
I mean,
public.
But yeah, that's funny insider memes about Lindy Beige.
We're goose hunting.
Where's the other fucker? Oh, hey, Pip. Oh.
Nexus has a point there. I like how you just randomly shot someone and robbed their corpse and home blind. I mean, hey, he's a murder hobo. He does not stand for moral actions until a faction leader asks him about it.
I just don't give a fuck right now. I think the other fucker's inside the boxy building over there.
Yeah, usually you are. The weapons way almost feels like it's in rhythm with the song. It's just moseying on over to shoot someone. Da-di-da-di-da.
Well, yeah, it was. This is a Battlefield 1 animation pack. Improves the animation quality on the hunting rifle, or basically any weapon that's based on the hunting rifle.
I really hope there's a surreal weapon animation pack, like the one where cocks the head, does the HK slap on his MP5, but he does it by throwing the empty mag at the charging handle.
Unfortunately, not.
Anyone else see the sound mods they've done for Insurgency, where the Glock makes anime girl noises when you shove the magazine into it?
Oh no.
Oh
Yeah.
god. People think that Brony fandom is a degenerate.
Or
Dude,
one of my favorites, Sadly, it got taken down due to copyright. But the one that, does that whole meme, the what you say whenever you die.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit of a funny little one.
Yep. That
Oh,
or the singing autotune bear mod for Skyrim, when you just want to completely break your immersion with wacky random things. The bears just singing in
Someone installed
autotune.
all the mods all the stupid mods they could on a Skyrim playthrough, and it was virtually unplayable.
it was.
Yeah,
That was what was it? iSorrow. He did that.
exactly.
It's a very iSorrow thing to do. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, those mods generally are best enjoyed individually without completely ruining your game with all of the mods.
Fucking Thomas the Tank Engine breaching through the fucking ethersphere.
And that's just the kind of stuff I love, giving the player base the ability to put really dumb things in, or things that the publisher can't do because of copyrights, just allowing the players to shitpost like that.
There we go. There's the water.
Got some water.
BG, you will die. Oh ja, das Glas of Wasser. Oh.
Yes, I have to put up with people putting on cheesy German accents. Sometimes I'll have to vent out by doing the dumb fake British accent.
Yeah, but it's the Americans that really don't do good accents.
Because their accent is shite too.
Aww.
BG's mother is American. You're insulting him. Be careful. You know what he's done to his villages in Minecraft.
Yes, he has.
Very
I'm not even
dangerous.
joking here, guys. BG
Don't
here,
tell him that's not TOS. It's not TOS.
it's in Minecraft, so it's totally TOS.
Well, I may have tried to be as efficient as possible as I could be with breeding the villagers. So I decided, I don't want to absolutely ruin the frame rate on that server. So I kinda saw what kind of trades I could unlock with those librarians, and if those librarians only sold shit tier stuff like Curse of Vanishing Books, off they went into the suffocation chamber. Oh dear, that didn't sound quite so good.
Oh,
you
no.
built a summer camp on my Minecraft server?
Of course,
It's
it had to be the
it's
German
an
that
amusement
decided
park.
to do
It's
that.
an amusement park.
Of course, the German came up with this. It had to be the German.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just took
He's
one final boat ride into the chamber with pistons
Stop
extended.
saying chamber. Fuck. he was the guy that went into fucking the Ancap incineration meat factory in Ancapistan and said, "Oh, I like this."
They won't know what
Fucking
Ancapistan is,
furnaces.
dude.
Ancapistan it's very self-explanatory. I mean, anyone you can imagine Ancapistan. That's what it is.
A little Minecraft village for the ANCAP faction on that server.
Yeah, just imagine Soviet Russia, but American and free and industrialized.
And
as
worse
fuck.
in every way.
It did look like a fucking Soviet industrial complex. It was that level of depressing. It looked like fucking. It looked like Milton Keynes.
Can we please not bring up politics, please? It's going to be bad. Can we not?
It's not politics. It's history. We're not going to talk about actual politics. That would be cringe.
Indeed.
Hey, Honduras, cringe.
Okay, I'll stop referring to it as a chamber. It was a nice little corner where they would have a nice little boat ride to, and then suddenly pistons would extend at head height.
Nora, what are you doing?
Bloody Nora. Oh, he's got a minigun.
It's Akak.
Indeed.
I don't bloody
Indeed,
know.
it's a poor little raider waifu who must die for her sins. All those poor little doe-eyed raider waifus who must die.
Wait, is she dead?
Although, what? Oh, there she is.
I thought she was dead.
Wow, she has full health. Well then, that's quite unfortunate. We may have slightly overestimated ourselves here. Road Fury outfit.
Why have you got 2 wedding rings?
Because I took
Well,
the one off of Nora's corpse.
Yeah.
Also,
I mean,
I wasn't gonna let good gold go to waste.
also, yeah, seeing that your companion was down, that was also kind of a thing in Fallout New Vegas. I must admit, I was always too much of a pussy to, finish playing a playthrough when a companion died. I guess if you wanted to,
I never
go
played with
full role play,
companions.
yeah, I mean, if you wanted to go play with full role play mode and actually stick to companions dying and having the consequence of the ending slide showing that they indeed died while accompanying you and which life goals of theirs weren't fulfilled. I don't
The
know.
fucking shotgun is insane on the pistol.
Considering you weren't even putting a scratch in her until you did that. Yeah.
I wasn't landing hits on her. That was the only problem I was having.
I saw someone made a pistol that chambered 10 gauge shotgun shells. It was a single
Would you
shot
like to not
pistol.
have a hand anymore? Because that's how you
Yeah.
not have a hand anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was,
or that
it was
that
very
one
powerful.
or that one pistol that was built like a breech-loading naval cannon that actually fired 50 BMG, because why not put that into a handgun just to be completely ridiculous?
Mm.
When you have 50 BMG rifles, might as well make it 50 BMG handguns. Oh dear. Can't even begin to think about how much of the muzzle energy you are wasting on the short barrel length of a pistol, but well, I guess it counts.
It basically is going to ruin any hope you ever had of having a decent, not having carpal tunnel by the end of your lifetime.
But yeah, back to back. So, I mean, on the PNP thing, I do. It is something I enjoy. Also, when you want to go more into the role playing thing, since as opposed to a single player video game, there you have the advantage of having other players to build up actual chemistry with, to actually apply people's skills to stuff, and having that feeling of camaraderie that you can't really get out of a single player game. So I mean, of course, that requires people dedicating time of their days and weeks to meeting up together and all that, and also having the right people in the group to have that chemistry going. But all in all, I myself am mostly a beginner to pen and paper tabletop stuff.
You
But
sell yourself way too short. You are good at it when you get into it.
yeah, but I mean, this isn't so much in skill, but just as in having experience with different groups, different people, what kind of things one encounters over the years of doing it, what kind of zany other players one meets. I mean, I don't know, Armix, do you have any
What experience doing PMP?
Yeah, they have
No.
match folks and that. Yeah. So
No.
yeah, it's just like, for example, GoDog probably would have tales to tell from that.
You probably would.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is probably something most people in the chat don't know. Actually, speaking of which, how many people are in the chat right now?
2, as far as I know.
3.
Seriously? 2?
Commander Root, Nexus, and Star Hoarder.
Yeah, but there's only 2 talking, so.
Yeah, admittedly.
Oh well.
It is the
Well-
nature of niche.
Yeah, and also niche within niche. Like, this is most. I mean, currently we are only advertising really on the PAE community, so I don't know. It's also, you have to think about where could you even advertise it? Which communities would even be receptive?
It might be worth actually diversifying. But obviously you
Over-
want this to be a pony thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be a Fallout Equestria fandom thing, so I'm thinking, I mean, does Twitter have sort of a large, neutral, Fallout Equestria community where you can actually, reach out to people who aren't in one of the communities yet? Twitter, well,
Pretty sure
Tumblr
that-
sadly is dead, because Tumblr had a whole lot of, you could find Ask blogs, you could find people having their own little blogs there. It's sort of, I don't know if Twitter necessarily has been able to foster and nourish such a community after Tumblr went up in flames.
No, it's not that it went up in flames. They fucking just shot themselves in the face.
They
They
lost
just,
the horny money.
yeah, basically when they decided no more adult content, how about no more Tumblr?
Yeah, I mean, that's just the whole thing with, also the internet growing out of that frontier phase where increasingly people are cracking down on adult content, and which also, will inevitably hit adult fan art and adult fan fiction. It's just kind of sort of more and more sites being, forced to board up due to moralistic, activistic legislation and all that. I mean, yes, protect the kids, but also, hey, watch what your kids are doing.
Damn reactionaries, ruining everything for everyone else.
That, or having to depart with, the anonymity of the internet and just having websites where you just have to sign up and prove how, have some sort of proof of identity just to show how old you are, and yeah, that way, kind of sort of avoiding kids ruining everything, except then they'll just probably use their parents or, grown-up classmates' IDs or something, their big brother's ID. I mean, let's be real. Even with the whole GTA moral scare, that was little kids playing their older brothers' console games. Those little rascals are going to be actively trying to intrude on, spaces they aren't really supposed to be intruding on, because they'll be exposing themselves to mature content. Once you find some way of at least locking out the kids, then I guess you can try and foster such a community. Of course, in so doing, you create an entry barrier for the vital lifeblood of fandoms that is college-aged and high school-aged creative folks.
But yeah,
So,
we've
yeah,
kind of
that's
wandered
the-
off pen and paper stuff. So,
I mean, that is innately tied to having a fan community to draw new members from. Because pen and paper isn't really something that people naturally gravitate to, like, sports that they know from school, like soccer or something, or the popular video games. It's a niche thing.
yeah, it is a niche thing. Like no one was arguing that it wasn't a niche.
As
But,
opposed to
But here's the thing that I've been working on myself. Nexus is aware of this, and if there's anyone else watching at home, I currently make my own pen and paper role-playing system in Fallout Equestria as a setting. Based vaguely on KCAT. There was a KCAT once upon a time did make a role-playing system.
Which was a bit cumbersome.
A bit. A bit cumbersome would be, a sledgehammer. No, this is a sledgehammer with a safe attached to one end.
So yeah, you were making your own PnP system, High Tides or something?
Well, it was High Tides. High Tides was its name. Did I not tell that thing to blow itself up?
what the fuck?
Hmm?
They're doing another bloody Avatar Last Airbender. What the fuck? No, they cringed the last one.
Oh,
Fine, I'll take the
Avatar,
tape and I'll...
the live-action Avatar Last Airbender. Oh man.
Well, I don't know. They're making a remake of the series in live action. Oh no! Stay out there!
Heads up. Yes?
No! What are you doing?
Well, she wants to be cool. She wants to stand in front of the explosion while staring off in the background.
No, she wants to commit suicide by walking out into an atomic blast.
Well, you see, she was healed with the robot repair kit, so she also thought you wanted her to self-destruct. Really,
Oh God.
that is now my headcanon.
So yes, there were. Let's start at the beginning here. So KCAT was originally the name of the system that we were currently working with. It was cumbersome to say the least, but because the setting was so fun, it still managed to develop a following. This then spawned Mad Mod, which took the original rulebook, spruced it up a little bit, patched over the cracks, and put in a bunch new more guns and organized it all.
Yeah, and by cumbersome, like in a tabletop roleplay setting, cumbersome is stuff like something Raven, one of our players, complained about. Like, say, if you're playing as a ghoul, having to keep track of how many rads you've had throughout the course of the day, and how much of that has decayed over this many hours before you risk becoming feral. It's unfun to micromanage, shit like that.
So, yeah, it still had a lot of the cumbersome problems, but it did tidy up a lot of the really untidy way it was presented, and make it a bit better to actually play with. From here, there were technically two systems that got spawned out of this. Dead Tree, which, they kept the cumbersomeness and just made it more cumbersome. Not gonna lie. And then High Tides, which was cumbersome compared to Dead Tree. So take from that what you will.
Yeah, it's just kind of the difficulty of streamlining something without, accidentally severely limiting what a player can do.
Yeah, thus is the nature of the beast in when making pen and paper games.
Just like how grappling rules became a meme in their own right in the in the general tabletop community.
But from there, I was on the development team for High Tides. I say development team, it was mostly development me. That's not to say my colleagues didn't do stuff, because they absolutely did do stuff. But most of their stuff was not working.
I kind of like that militia rifle. It's, as opposed to the pipe guns, it looks like it would actually work while still looking that jank.
Indeed, it did.
Sorry, please carry on.
But carrying on, so a lot of the work on High Tides, especially like with new weapons and armor and revamping some of the perks, was me doing that. Now, I know that I'm a biased source, and obviously I'm going to spin this in my favor. No lies here. I'm not going to pretend that I won't spin it. But I do want to say that those individuals I worked with, whose names I will protect because I still like them as people, they didn't do a lot, and they kind of didn't want to work on stuff. So very recently, I broke off from High Tides and started my own system. We've taken what High Tides was working on all the stuff that was going on there, and we've decided to go in a different direction. Our system is called Equestrian Vagabonds. If people are interested, if the chat is interested, maybe in the future we will link the Discord server for what we're working on.
Perhaps.
But yes, shameless shill on what I've been working on.
Mm-hmm.
But yees. What was I going to say?
Clearly, though, the wedding ring needs the Kevlar plating. You can scrap Molotov. Okay.
I'm not scrapping them, I'm just moving them to the workshop.
Oh, right.
So, to a recent actually story, well, I say it's a recent story. This is quite an old story from back in KCAT's system. This is a story that we've used to inform our design choices in going forward with Equestrian Vagabonds. So, the story was that we had a group, and our group had a unicorn medic, a pretty competent unicorn medic, which is kind of normal. We were getting a new player, and they got an alicorn character.
Oh boy.
So alicorns, like everyone who knows about FOE knows, do exist within the universe. So this was pre-Fall of Unity. So there was they were a pretty standard alicorn type character. I believe they were green, so they were a bit weird, not gonna lie. And basically, in the first couple of sessions of this alicorn character joining the party, upon discovering that our unicorn was even remotely competent, the alicorn, during the night, had the goddess Jesus take the wheel her and just fucking jack our unicorn in the night.
Whoa.
What, steal it?
Yeah, they jacked our unicorn.
Oh.
Since the goddess needed unicorns to, fuse into unity.
Yes, that was the whole deal there. We did eventually track down this alicorn, and we did defeat her after getting our ass thoroughly whooped in all directions. And we got our unicorn back. But
So yeah, for anyone who might not be that into the Fall of Equestria story, this would be the equivalent of of a party being naive enough to allow a super mutant into their group while the master was still active and giving them orders.
So yeah,
Got that locket.
it didn't. I'm pretty sure the GM of the game made this as a purposeful plant for actually the player's actual character, because then we got, I believe it was, I think it was another unicorn. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was another unicorn we got to go with the party.
That's actually interesting to have a player who's willing to go through that with a placeholder character who will become an enemy to slay for the party.
Wait, why is this? Why are they not friendly? Never mind. I'll come back
I
another
guess you
time.
have to talk to them first before.
I've already done their mission.
Oh no.
Bethesda.
Well, this can be more chalked up, I guess, to how the mods quests interact with and maybe break the main quest.
Oh no, we gotta start a revolution. Oh wait, no.
The Brotherhood of Mod.
Yeah, dude, the goddamn mod. Bruh, BG, for April Fools next year, you should get all of the mod team to change their avatars to Maud, so they're the moderators.
Ah, to Mod Pie, yes.
Yeah, the
Yes.
moderators. Hee-hoo, very shitty funny.
Yeah, and Sky should find a sleeping mod avatar, of course.
Yes.
All right. But if we're on the topic of PMP stories, BG, I'm sure there's at least one or two that you find quite fun.
I mean, the thing is, I haven't really been doing it that long with many different groups, so I don't have exactly, zany tales to tell, like, say, someone who's been in multiple groups, like, say, Money Company or something for almost a decade now, like Mike or Godog, who would probably have several interesting situations to recount. Although, I mean, here I go shilling again. For example, some fanfics like Frozen Skies are actually based on PnP groups. And like PnP groups where the players were able to really, hash out stuff with each other and have these, complex interactions with each other, like say two lovers who are growing more distant and just having the stress build up in their relationship over the course of the story, stuff like that.
Sir,
I mean, but okay, my personal PnP stories, I mean, I haven't really been bold enough a player to do stuff, so it's more like recounting a certain other player in the party helping my character, Dust Runner, pretend to be a high-ranking officer despite her being a rank and file Minuteman horse, basically, because he was a bit of a smooth-talking swindler. So he went up to this officer in her group and was like, "What? Can't you tell she's a high-ranking general of this group?" And swing that. It's really great when someone hams it up and has the charisma to really, do a passionate character who just brings life into the party. The traveling party, that is.
Yeah, he was a
And the
fun
real
character to play
party
with.
in some cases.
I was also quite glad to meet that player in person. That's also perhaps a story for another day.
Well,
Basically, it was at BronyCon. The artist I had commissioned for the emojis of Dust Runner had, without my knowledge, been putting up stickers of the Dust Runner emojis around the venue. So I hadn't even known those stickers were around until suddenly I get a DM on Discord from this other player from the PNP group, like, hey, guess what I've been seeing around the venue? And then I see the photo of like a Dust Runner stick here on one of the escalators. I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like it turns out he was, with the convention staff at the time, and he didn't know I was going there. I didn't know he was there, so that was pretty neat meeting him and the others. And then also the artist finally having a giggle at me finally noticing those stickers. Fun times.
But yeah, actually, there was a couple of fun stories from that campaign. Oh, sugar.
And spice?
And everything nice.
I wouldn't go that far.
I don't know what's gone wrong here. Something has gone very wrong. Oh, it's working now. Oh no! Now there's a massive bar on the right-hand side of the screen.
So yeah, I don't really have that many interesting PNP stories to tell, just on the merits of not having done it, basically. Being somewhat of a novice in it. So yeah, I trust you, Gallant, would probably have more to tell about it. Like, sorry, Armix, if there's not a whole lot for you to tell about that. It's just somewhat of a niche hobby.
Yeah.
So, I want to point out about basically the first 2 sessions of the campaign that BG was in just fucking went insane.
Ah, yes. When one of our players decided he had to rebel against the railroading going on. That was actually kind of interesting how that sort of led to
I can imagine Gallant getting very angry if people decided to derail his story.
I mean, basically, the player forced us into hostilities with the NCR. So then suddenly, Dust Runner, the sheriff Minutemen horse, had to ally with the horse Powder Gangers, since those were the only faction that would allow us to move through their territory, since we were suddenly, unplanned enemies with the NCR, because, Dust was just about to negotiate with the NCR about something we found in, doing a little fetch quest for them, when he just suddenly said, and I opened fire on the NCR soldiers. I'm like, wait, what?
Well,
Bruh, that's the time to instantly say, what the fuck, bro? Why you do? Fuck off. We're not associated with him. Realistically, you'd probably be like, that'd be the end of the party.
I want to point out here, though, I didn't stop him from doing that. Like, he was complaining that I was railroading him. I didn't stop him from doing that, though.
No.
Yeah. Let's try and distance ourselves as much from he said, she said stuff and just concentrate on the events as they unfurled.
Yeah, no, I'm not throwing shade. I'm just going, wow, okay. But realistically, that'd be a pretty interesting, real life. How would people react to that? They'd be like, bruh, our plan. What the you just murdered people. What? I assume he had a good reason. Did he have a good roleplay reason?
So I think it was basic.
No, it wasn't basic. It was atomic. But
no. We had basic in the group.
Really?
Yes, he was in the group, but he didn't really. I mean, he had his grievances with that, but he simply left the group. So, but
yes,
anyway,
so
let's not
point out
the whole individual players, just about their characters.
Yes, but thing is, this is important. This is relevant. So Basic was in the campaign. He left. He wouldn't want to play. That's fine. I had no problem with him leaving. That was all good. So what I decided to do was to try and portray the level of intolerance that there was in this world by having his character be captured by the NCR and then hanged. And
was his character a Zebby Zeb?
No, his character was a bat pawn.
Indeed,
ew, stinky. Well,
so the NCR took him captive for proselytizing, and then they killed him, and then strung his body up. So that was what I did there. Atomic, both name of the player and the character, then took it upon themselves to just attack the NCR for this.
Yeah, basically our party, our party, represented by Dust, was about to talk to them to ask them what the hell had happened, and while we were returning to them from a quest.
I don't think we
And
had
that's
Dust at
when
this point in time.
Yes, we did.
No, Dusty Horse. Yes, you. Sorry. I was thinking of Sturdy Horse.
Yes, we didn't have Sturdy Horse in there at the time. So as I was saying, my character was just about to, talk to them. Then just immediately, without any sort of forewarning, he just did the, attack dice roll and said, "I shoot at the officer."
And unfortunate for us, he actually completely flummoxed it. But he kept shooting. He just kept shooting.
Pew pew.
Which led to our party basically retreating and
They
running
became
off.
persona non grata to the NCR. And probably reasonably so at this point.
Yeah. I can't quite remember how this then turned into hostilities between the entire militia and the NCR, but yeah,
So
it's
I
been
remember
a
how
year
this
or
story
so.
went down. So what ended up happening is that they got pushed into the ever-loving hooves of a... I wouldn't say that they were... They're like the Powder Gangers, but not evil.
Yeah, basically.
This is where they also met Sturdy Horse, the one that ended up blagging their way inside the Minuteman Pony base, basically. But yeah, the deal was that because they got blagged into them, or basically shoved towards them, the response was that they would help them out with some tasks, which would, support this ganger uprising, as it were. So that was the plan there. So they got sent on like 2 different missions. One of which was to attack a NCR-held grain silo and just clear out the garrison there. They did it pretty well, in fact, in my opinion.
Yeah, and let the surviving NCR soldiers go unharmed.
Mm-hmm.
Did that bite them in the arse later?
No, it didn't, because the guy just took it on the chin and went, "I'm glad I'm not dead." But the other half of that, the other mission was taking on an old Zebrakan fort, which they wanted the armory from the fort.
Or was it full of like robo boys?
Yes.
Hmm.
Basically, the lower levels had robos and turrets all over the place.
I mean, perhaps in hindsight, it would have been interesting to have, sparing those soldiers have some consequences when negotiating with them later on, like suddenly have the NCR use that as propaganda that, hey, this mayor here who was clearly a uniformed member of the militia was helping these escaped convicts, raid a grain silo or something,
Yeah.
to
It might
have
have been a
just
good idea, but
have to
it's a bit late
justify
now.
that. But yeah, in hindsight.
You've always got to see these opportunities and divot little thinking Marooney. You've got to think, maybe if there's an opportunity to use these, we'll use them again, but maybe it never came up, Because I don't suppose you would be doing any...
I mean, in meta, basically what happens was there were 2 concurrent running groups, and the group that I was in, drifted apart after.
At the time of that this happened, the other group wasn't actually active.
Ah. Yeah, but I mean, that's not as relevant as basically this group just ended up kind of dying, basically. I mean, the player characters didn't die, but, the players kind of lost interest after the most charismatic player of the group was just too busy IRL, and as things happen, yeah.
So, as I was trying to continue saying,
Yeah.
They encountered another character for the party there, which was the last surviving ghoul of the Zebra garrison there, who managed to be talked down into letting the these guys take over the garrison, or take over the fort, told them about the robots in the basement, and, help them clear them out. From this point, basically, they had to help this faction take over a place called South Cross.
South Park?
South Cross.
Why is he cross?
Yeah, we should have had this character.
Somebody squeeze wrong.
It's hard to, focus on shooting people and do this. Shite. I got fucking shot in the head.
Ah.
So... Sorry, I'm going to pause just for a brief second so I can continue the story.
Yep.
So, the idea was that they tried to get these weapons, and they eventually did get the weapons to these rebellious folks, which then mobilized all of their forces to try and take South Cross. So, they eventually got to the outskirts of South Cross, but because of this position being very tactically advantageous to another faction in the region, or rather, to defend against another faction in the region, the NCR and the Lone Star Militia had a bunch of people here. The party took it upon themselves to convince the militia to either actively support this rebellion, or to at least not take active part in it, or at least not take active activity against them. They managed to sneak their way inside with the help of some friendly resistance fellows, and they snuck their way in. They managed to talk to the commander and blagged their way inside after Sturdy Horse, the most charismatic member of the party, managed to, intimidate the two guards into letting someone who clearly wasn't an officer inside. And that's the whole story there. They basically convinced the Lone Star Militia to not get involved with this fight and just let the revolutionaries across the river. Because they took no side, the NCR took that as they took an active role against them. So it didn't matter if they didn't actually help the revolutionaries. The NCR was convinced that the Lone Star Militia was not interested in working with them anymore.
Ah.
Well, that would be what the Americans would do, isn't it? You have sided against us in battle.
How many bullets did that fucking asshole need to take to the face?
Look alive. I'm ready. This is just a fancy way of saying you're looting everything.
But yeah. Anyone in chat have anything to say? And then the silence crept in. Hello?
Hello, darkness, my friend.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I got nothing more to say about much.
Yeah.
TBH, I think that might be...
Well, there was one more topic that I had available.
That would be?
What do people think of the new Wastelander DLC for Fallout 76?
I don't know, I haven't played it.
I mean, I played a bit of Fallout 76, but I only really play it to, play with friends, so I don't know. I haven't purchased that DLC. I haven't really been that active in Fallout 76.
Got it.
So I have nothing to say about it except to shrug and say maybe I'll check out the trailer and check out for gameplay footage on YouTube for next time.
Well, if that's the case, I'm just going to make my way to Diamond City, and that's probably going to be a good place to end it for this stream.
Sure.
Though, we're about to go into a really fucking deadly fight. Because they took the time to replace the super mutants in this game with alicorns.
Oh boy. I think we should leave that to the opener for the next episode. Leave it on a cliffhanger.
All right, we're heading into a big fight, so let's save up here.
Yep.
So, this has been Post-Apoc Horse Talk. I've been your host, Gantages, and this has been my co-host, BG, and our extra co-host, Armex. And until next time, keep your gun in its holster and keep your eyes on the wasteland, because I can't get this fucking ending right. And have a nice night.
Toodles!